Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. Today we are doing a garden tea talk and the topic is recognizing manipulation tactics and protecting your energy in relationships. Hopefully you guys will be able to hear me better this way. I did actually write down all my thoughts, so I will be reading from my notes. So yeah, grab a glass of tea or coffee or whatever you like and let's go ahead and have a conversation. So, have you ever been in a conversation where no matter what you said, it seemed to escalate? Things just kept getting worse. Someone kept just repeating the same complaint, accusing or blaming you, and you couldn't actually get them to explain what was wrong or what was going on. It's frustrating. It can feel confusing and even make you doubt yourself. So today I wanted to share some ways to recognize these kinds of behaviors, protect your energy, and stay grounded so you can respond with clarity, kindness, and confidence instead of getting pulled back into the chaos. All right. So note number one here is recognizing the behaviors. Sometimes when someone's feeling insecure, threatened, or overwhelmed, their fear comes out in ways that can feel manipulative, even if that's not their intention. So here are a few tactics that you might notice. And the first one is gaslighting. This is when someone twists your perception of reality to make you doubt yourself. So for example, you know something happened a certain way. You remember something happening a certain way, right? But they insist that you're remembering it wrong, call you delusional, say that your reality is not real, they make you question yourself, instead of you being able to trust your own mind, and this plants seeds of self-doubt and can be really harmful. Okay, I'm sure a lot of you guys already know all this, but I'm just gonna kind of go through it all, go over it for anyone who might need help in these situations or need to better understand what's going on, because these things aren't always obvious to everyone, especially in new relationships or relationships where these things haven't happened before. So the second one is circular arguments or baiting. So this is when someone keeps bringing up the same complaint in a way that prevents a resolution. So you answer and they deflect and the cycle keeps repeating, leaving you feeling drained and not really knowing how to respond to what's being said in the conversation, right? And then we have blame shifting. So this is what happens when someone tries to make you feel responsible for their feelings, and their discomfort suddenly becomes your problem, even when you've done nothing wrong. So basically they claim there's something going on that's wrong, and you explain to them like what it is that you're feeling, or that, you know, you might even apologize, or you are explaining something that is wrong, like I feel this because you did this, whatever, however the appropriate ways of going about talking about these things, right? And all of a sudden everything becomes your fault. So you could say that I feel this way because of this. I feel disrespected because you were talking down to me, for example, right? And then it becomes, well, I wouldn't have done that if you hadn't have ... right? So blame shifting, basically. Sorry for the rough interpretation. I'm just I'm trying to give examples here as best I can. Then we have refusing to communicate clearly. Sometimes someone will say there's a problem but won't actually name it, and you're left guessing, and no matter what you do, it feels like it's never enough. This isn't always intentional. Obviously, sometimes people have an issue getting their point across, especially when there's emotions, deep emotions involved. But sometimes it is intentional. It's important to recognize when that is an intentional thing, when it is a manipulative behavior. Okay, so recognizing these patterns is the first step towards reclaiming your power. So that's what we're going to talk about next. Okay. All right, here's the truth. You do not need to solve someone else's insecurity, nor do you need to guess at their emotions to keep the peace. Your energy and flow are yours to protect. Here's what I found helpful in situations like this. Take a step back when needed. You don't have to engage until the other person is ready to communicate calmly and clearly. Walking away or pausing is not rude. It's a form of self-care. Set firm boundaries. Short, clear statements work best. So something like, I'm happy to talk to you when you can communicate calmly and honestly. Right now I'm focusing on my work. These statements remove you from the drama without escalating conflict. Okay? So keep your flow intact. If you're working on something important, don't let someone else's emotional chaos derail you. Your purpose and your momentum matter. Recognize these patterns. When you see these behaviors repeatedly, you can respond from understanding instead of reacting. Usually this behavior signals fear, insecurity, or overwhelm, not a reflection of your value. So, for example, if someone's trying to get your attention or pull you away from something you're doing, or feeling jealous or insecure about whatever it is, your hobby that you're working on, or whatever, talking to your mom on the phone, it can be anything, right? And they start behaving in a way that is escalating conflict, you have the right to step away and say, we can talk about this when I'm not busy. I'd be happy to address all your concerns at that time. You know, things like that. Sometimes people just get really pushy and shovey and in your face and want your attention so bad that they're not being respectful of your boundaries. And that's when it's important to really set firm boundaries and hold the line on those. So the next thing is alchemizing the pain. So when we recognize these manipulation tactics, we can respond with clarity rather than emotion. So this is where we try not to get triggered and reactive, even though we can clearly see that someone is attempting to manipulate us, and it could be subconscious. It's not always like, people tend to love to point the finger and say narcissistic tendencies or whatever, but that's not always the case. Sometimes people aren't as emotionally aware or emotionally mature to have these conversations in a way that isn't triggering, if that makes sense. And it's their responsibility to fix that. It's not yours. But I'm just trying to give helpful ways to point these things out and try to help with your side of it. And one of those things is just to do your best to not get triggered, to not get emotional, to not escalate things further. And sometimes that can be just calmly walking away or refusing to participate until the situation calms down, right? And I know that that's not always possible in certain situations, but, you know, I'm just trying to be helpful in the best way I can with what I have to work with. Does that make sense? Excuse me. All right, so this is where the real magic happens, transforming frustration and pain into empowerment. You can be kind, loving, and compassionate while still saying, I will not engage in the chaos. Okay? That's not coldness, that's self-respect. That's creating emotional space where you can continue to grow, work, and shine without being derailed. And here's the most beautiful part. By holding your boundaries and protecting your energy, you are showing others and yourself how to interact with respect, honesty, and calm. You become a model for healthy communication simply by keeping your peace. So I have written down some reflection and journaling prompts. If this resonates, I invite you to take a moment after the video and ask yourself, where in my life have I been pulled into someone else's chaos? How can I create space to protect my energy without feeling guilty for it? What boundaries can I set that honor both myself and the relationship? Even a short journaling session or a minute of mindful breathing can help you reclaim clarity and become calm once again. All right, so remember, protecting your energy is not selfish, it's sacred. It's an act of self-love and self-care, okay? Being able to respond rather than react is a superpower in everyday life. When you understand these patterns, you no longer have to get lost in the chaos. You can show up fully for yourself, for your work, and for the people who truly matter. I hope this helps you recognize manipulation and reclaim your energy and step confidently into your power, no matter what's happening around you. I thank you for sharing this time with me today. So until next time, keep your tea warm, your energy clear, and your boundaries strong.